if the government could make sure that Americans didn't have to work until they died? Imagine it. The year is 1935. The Great Depression had devastated the economy, and millions of older Americans were a bit concerned because they had little to no income and they were getting close to the point where they couldn't work anymore. At this point in time, there was no federal nationwide retirement program. So when you got to the point where you couldn't work anymore, where you physically were incapable of being able to work, you either relied on what savings you had, which following during the Great Depression and after, you probably didn't have a whole lot, if you had any, or you leaned heavily on families who might also be suffering because of the Great Depression. So it was a really difficult situation to be in. Then, on August 14th, President Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act into law. And this was a federal program for retirement benefits. It also covered unemployment insurance and assistance for vulnerable Americans. But this came out of payroll taxes. This was all part of Roosevelt's broader New Deal effort to provide Americans with financial security. But you might be surprised to learn how controversial it was. Supporters believed that the federal government had a responsibility to keep Americans from extreme poverty, particularly extreme poverty that was caused by situations that were out of their hands, like the stock market crash, which led to the Great Depression. Then you had critics who believed that giving the federal government the power to create something like a social security meant that they overstepped and they had far too much power. The first Social Security taxes were collected in 1937, and the first retirement check was handed out to Ida Mae Fuller in 1940. She paid less than $300 into the system and ended up benefiting by almost $23,000 by the time she died. Of course, the program has changed quite a bit throughout the years, but the main goal has been the same, and that is Americans contribute throughout their working lives so that when they retire, they have some income to look forward to. What started in the Great Depression went on to become one of the most enduring programs in American history. No longer did Americans have to look at the future and their old age with uncertainty. Coming up, FDR has even more programs